Okay, this is Algebra, lesson 4.1, graphing equations in slope-intercept form. Okay, first of all, let me explain to you slope-intercept form. Okay, so slope-intercept form, first of all, we've already learned about standard form. How does standard form go? What is the formula for standard form? AX plus BY equals C. Okay, that's fine. That's standard form. You'll notice that you have X, a Y, and a C, okay? That is one way of writing, what is this thing called? What is this thing? Standard form of a linear equation, right? Does that make sense? This is standard form of a linear equation. Algebra deals with linear equations almost primarily, but not always. But you know what I mean? Like right now, at least for the next several months, we're going to be dealing with linear equations. Okay, so understand this. This is the standard form of a linear equation. There are many other ways of writing a linear equation. Okay, the one we're going to be talking about today and for a little while is slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form, you can take something from standard form and turn it into slope-intercept form. That's not today, but we will be doing that very soon, where you're going to take standard form and be able to transfer that into slope-intercept form. For right now, actually, you know what? I'm sorry. We are doing that today. Excellent. So anyway, we'll talk about that here in a second. What slope-intercept form is this. You're going to need to know this and memorize it. You'll have it down. It's y equals, anybody remember? mx plus b. Y equals mx plus b. Write that down. That is slope-intercept form. It's very simple. And I'm going to show you how it works. Y equals mx plus b is slope-intercept form. When you see me, oftentimes I'll go SI form, right? Slope-intercept form is that. Okay, now here's slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b. Here's the deal. This right here, the m, we've already dealt with this. What is the m? The m is the slope, okay? The m is the slope, okay? Are we paying attention? The m is the slope. The b is the y-intercept, and I need you to understand this. I need you to see why that's true. Remember in standard form, if I wanted to know where the y-intercept was, what would I do? If I wanted to know where the y-intercept was, what would I do? People, make x be 0, right? If I wanted to know where the y-intercept was of my line, I would want to make sure I would make x be 0, and that would tell me what again? The y-intercept. It's where it crosses the y, right? So listen, in this formula, if I made x be 0, I don't care what m is, if I made x be 0, what's y going to be equal to? B. Look at it. If I made x be 0, what's y going to be equal to? B. Do you see what I'm saying here? So then, what is B? It's the y-intercept. We dealt with this last year a little bit. M is the slope, and B is the y-intercept. Does that make sense? It's just something you have to memorize. If you can write it in if you can write a linear equation in slope-intercept form, you can grab this in 10 seconds. Why can you grab this in 10 seconds? What do I have? What do I know? I know the slope, and I know, do I know one point on the graph? What is the one point on the graph? No, it's not 0. What is the one point on the graph? 0b. Wherever b is at, right? That's where it crosses the y. So no matter what, when I have my guy here, I know what the slope is, but that's not what I start with. I start with the y-intercept. If that b was 4, then I know it's going to be right here. It's going to start at 4. If it was, y equals 1/2 x plus 7, then I know it starts at 7. If it's minus y equals 4x minus 6, then I know it's down here at minus 6. Does that make sense? Whatever b is, that's where it crosses the y. That's my starting point, and then I do the slope. If the slope is 1/2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2. Make sense? I can draw my graph. Let's try one. Y equals 3/4 x plus 2. Here, you're just watching me for now. First thing I do, if I'm going to graph this, it's written in slope-intercept form. So I graph this. What do I need to know first? I have to have a starting point, an anchor. Where's my anchor? Where's my starting point? Where's my starting point? I have to be able to start my line somewhere. It's not 0, 0, people. It's not 0, 0. This is not the direct variation equation because, listen, if it was just y equals 3/4 x, that's a direct variation equation, and it would cross 0, 0. But that's not. There's that plus 2 there. What does that 2 mean again? What is the 2 again? It's where it crosses the y. Listen, the direct variation equation, which is y equals 3/4 x, technically is written in slope-intercept form, is it not? What could I put there to make it be in slope-intercept form? Plus 0. That's why it all crosses at the origin, because what is the y-intercept? 0. So anyway, where's the y-intercept? Is it 2? I know it crosses here. That's one of the points. What's the slope? Up 3 over 4. And I'm done. If it's written in slope-intercept form, it should take you 10 seconds to do. Hold on. 5 seconds, maybe 4. 4 seconds to do it. Y equals 1/2 x minus 3. Hold on. Once I get my graph written down, let's see how long it takes to do. Once I get my coordinate plane down, okay. Where's my anchor? Where do I start this thing? Minus 3 on the y-intercept, and the slope is 1/2, up 1 over 2. Wow. Do you see what I'm doing here? Up 1 over 2. I went up 1 over 2. Why did I go up 1 over 2? Because that's the slope. Whatever happens to come in front of the x. What if I have this? What if I have y equals negative x plus 4? Ugh, what am I going to do with that? What a mess, right? What a mess. I just have no idea what I'm going to do with that. Where do I start? 4. It starts at the 4. X, y is 4. That's the y-intercept. And negative x, what is that slope? A negative 1. What is a negative 1 slope? Negative 1 over 1, right? So it's down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. There they are. It's, right? That's how you do it. Slope and y-intercept. So simple. That's why slope-intercept form is so easy. Now, here's the difference. Here's the next thing you have to learn. And that is, what if I give you this? 3x plus 2y equals 6. What have I handed you? I've handed you standard form. Okay, not a problem. Standard form. If I wanted to, how could I graph this? How would, if I taught you to graph this last chapter, what would I have you do? Find the intercepts. Make x be 0. That means that y is 3. It's going to cross at 3. And then if I want to find the x-intercept, I make that 0. Then x is 2. And I would do that. And there it is. I could do that. Fine. Right now, they want you to turn this into slope-intercept form. Trust me, you're going to want to be able to do that. One of the big building we're making, right? Yeah, you want to be able to do that. Turning this into slope-intercept form. How do I do that then? What do I have to solve for? Real simple. What am I solving for? What is slope-intercept form? How does that go again? Y equals mx plus b. So what do I need to solve for here? I need to solve for y. Y needs to be alone. So it needs to end up being y equals something. Okay, so line on the equal sign. I got to get y alone. Is he alone? Not at all. He's being multiplied by 2, and there's a 3x being added to him. Which one do I take care of first? Minus 3x minus 3x. 2y equals, I need to switch those around. I need this to be in slope-intercept form. So what comes first, the plain old number or the x? Negative 3x plus 6. Is he happy yet? Is the y happy yet? No. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. Do you remember doing this yet? Y equals. I have this ugly thing. It's not written in slope-intercept form. This I'm going to do is I'm going to use the distributive property using division, right? Using division. What is negative 3x divided by 2? It is negative 3 halves x. You need to just see that that's the same thing. I need you to look at that right now for real and see that it's the same thing. If you can't see that it's the same thing, you're kind of host here. Do you see that this right here, what I circled up here, negative 3x over 2 is the same as negative 3 halves x? Right? And then I have 6 over 2 is plus 3. Right? Right? Is that written in slope-intercept form now? I'm sorry, is that written in slope-intercept form now? Yes, gotcha. Don't forget, if I am in any way not confident that you know how to do this, then what has to happen? Oh, let's stay at lunch. We've got to make sure. So you're going to want to act confident when you're confident. If you're not confident, that's cool. It's just letting me know that we need to stay in. What about this then? You guys try one. 3x plus 4y equals 24. I want you to write this in slope-intercept form. So watch this. You got to know how to do this. If you don't do it, you don't know how to do it, then you're in trouble. So this is one of those things that we learned last year. If you don't remember how to do it, you got to have it. Line down the equal sign. I'm solving for y. It needs to be written in, which is y equals mx plus b. Minus 3x minus 3x. Rewrite it so that it's written right. 4y equals what? Negative 3x plus 24. Okay? Now what? Divide by 4, divide by 4. Y is happy now. Now we just have to get this to look like slope-intercept form. What do I do? Notice I make that right there. What is negative 3x over 4? Negative 3 fourths x. And then what is 24 divided by 4? Plus 6. Written in slope-intercept form. Could you then, if I asked you to graph that, how would you do it? Where do you start? At 6 from the y, right? And then you go down 3 over 4. Down 3 over 4. Does that make sense? Okay. Try one more. I want you to graph this one too. Okay. I want you to graph it as well. Negative 2x plus 5y equals 10. All right, here we go. Both parts of it. Paying attention here. I cannot emphasize that you have to be able to do this with, so certainty, starting like right now, because as we move on, this is the foundation. This. Line down the equal sign. What? First of all, hold on. If on your test I said to graph this, if I said to graph that, could you find the... Well, could you do it without turning it into slope-intercept form? Could you do it? Yeah, how so? Find the intercepts, right? You could do that. That's fine. I'm telling you now, eventually everybody loves the slope-intercept form. Eventually you're going to be like, that's all I'm going to do, slope-intercept form, because it's so good. Line down the equal sign. Plus 2x plus 2x. 5y equals 2x plus 10. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Y equals 2/5 x plus 2. How many of you got that at least? For y equals 2/5 x plus 2. Did everybody get to that point? You had to have. No? Dizzy? No?
I wrote the 5 as a 2.
Oh, well, that's silly. Okay, so now that you're here, this is not difficult. Let's do our graph. Because on your homework tonight, all they say is to graph. They want you to do... I'm telling you, it would be very wise of you to learn right this second, turn it into slope-intercept form, because it's so easy. Where does this thing cross the y? 2. And what's the slope? 2/5, both positive. So up 2 over 5, we're right here, and we're done. Question?
Oh, no.
How have you got that? No? What did you do?
I just did negative 2x. So.
Why? When you started up here with negative 2x, you added 2x to both sides. You got to know that. That's just that's a detail that It's on you to make sure you're meticulous about this. And I can't wait to show you how long these problems get eventually, you know, like where there's literally like 40 steps, and so you can't miss any of them. Crazy. Okay, something else. What happens if this, you tell me, I want you to, first of all, tell me if this is in slope-intercept form, and then I want you to graph it. Y equals -4. Is that written in slope-intercept form? It is. It's written in slope-intercept form. How so? It would be y equals, what would it be? It would be 0x minus 4. Does that make sense? These two are identical. They're identical. Agreed? So if that's true, remember, you all should know how to graph y equals -4. How does that go again? Where is it at? It's like down here, right? Don't you agree that that's it? We all should know that, just automatic. Here's why, though. Listen, the rules don't change just because it's ugly. If the slope is 0x, what's the rise over run? It's important. What's the rise over run? 0 over any number, right? 0 over any number. Could be 1, it could be 10, it could be anything. 0 over any number, that's 0. What's undefined again? Any number on top of 0, right? So for now, it's this. So what's the rise in a 0 slope? What's the rise is 0. It means it's not going up and down at all. And the run is any number. That's why we know that it crosses where? Where does it cross, the y-intercept? -4. And we know it rises none. And it runs all, right? Anything. Does that make sense? Still using the slope-intercept form. That's why it works that way. What happens if you get... this is not super difficult. Is that written in slope-intercept form? It is. What happened to this guy? What is he? +0. This is the same thing as... what is that written in now? Direct variation. That's a direct variation equation. Agreed? So what point do you know it goes through? 0, 0. You know that because it's +0. We already knew that. That's why it goes right there, right? We knew that. It's just now written in slope-intercept form, but it's the same thing. Okay. What if they gave you... how do you write this? I'm going to give you a graph, and you're going to tell me, I want you to write this equation in slope-intercept form, okay? I want you to write this equation in slope-intercept form. I want you to write for me, that guy, this guy, in slope-intercept form right now. So what is the slope-intercept form again? Okay, so then this is going to be y equals, what's the slope of this baby? 1/3. 1/3, and you can see that because it's up 1 over 3, right? X plus, what is it? Where's it at? Where's it cross the y? 3. How many of you got y equals 1/3 x plus 3? Right? Does that make sense? It's that simple. Okay, write for me this. Write for me this equation in slope-intercept form. Write for me that equation in slope-intercept form. Don't give me anything that's redundant. I don't want anything that's redundant. I want it in slope-intercept form with nothing that doesn't belong. What is that? Y equals 3. Right? You wouldn't put y equals 0x plus 3. That's redundant. That's ridiculous. This is just y equals 3, which is written in slope-intercept form. Okay? What about this one then? What about this? How do I write this? How do I write that in slope-intercept form? So here's the tricky part. Remember, how does slope-intercept form go again? Y equals, okay, y equals, right? Dana, what did you get? Y equals what? If you have y equals whatever you put here, you're implying that no matter what, that at some point it crosses the y. If you put anything over here, then you're implying that it crosses the y at some point. What is the only way to write what is that equation? That would be what? It's that's true. The slope is undefined, but how do you write this equation? Not y equals. This is x equals 4. Does that make sense? There's no y involved here. That's x equals 4. So if you ever see an undefined slope and they tell you to write it in slope-intercept form, you would say, not possible. You can't write that. There's no y equals anything. Does that make sense? Because if you put something there, then it implies that it crosses the y, and it doesn't. Okay. All right. I think you guys can do this now. Oh, really quick, I'm just going to give you something that's very brief, and I think I go over it tomorrow anyway. But I do want to talk about it. Either way, I'll talk about it now. Whenever you see, pay attention. Whenever you see the coordinate plane, and you see a line that from left to right is going uphill. If you ever see a line that from left to right is going uphill, then that line is positive. That is a positive slope, right? Does that make sense? It's a positive slope. We did that last year. If you see a line that is going downhill, then the slope is negative. You need to know that. Notice that on both of these, when I did this slope here, that is a very shallow slope. It is not steep. It's shallow. Since that slope is shallow, the slope will be less than 1. A 1 slope is exactly up 1 over 1, so it's going to be at a perfect 45-degree angle. That slope is a 1 slope. If it's less than that, if it is one like this, then it might be something like 1/4. Does that make sense? Or maybe if it's really shallow, it might be 1/20th slope. The more shallow it gets, the closer to 0 that it is, right? Eventually, when it does hit perfectly horizontal, that means the slope is 0. 0 slope, right? That should make sense. The closer it gets to 0, the more shallow it is, the closer it is to being horizontal. If my slope is very steep, then that slope is more than 1. This one might be something like a 3 slope. Or if I had it just barely like this, that might be a 3/2 slope. Notice 3/2 is more than 1, right? So it would be a little steeper than normal. Make sense? What happens if my slope does this? What would my slope be? What kind of a slope does this look like? First of all, what do we know about it? It is negative. That's a negative slope. And it looks like it's about down 1 over 1, right? So that means the slope would be -1, right? A -1, down 1 over 1, right? Down 1 over 1. If it is more than that, what if it's very steep like this? Then it would be, it's obviously still negative, but it's very, this is not shallow, this is steep. Therefore, a steep negative slope, what kind of a number were we talking about? More than 1, not more than 1/2, more than 1, right? This might be a -3 slope. Make sense? Okay. Not part of your homework, but we'll get there. All right. Your homework. Today is Wednesday. Is page 2, 18, 17 through 36 even. You realize how lucky you are that I give you like evens and stuff? You realize how lucky that is? Yeah, I hope so. Anyway. Okay, there you go.